Britney Spears' attorney Matthew Rosengart files his most urgent petition yet. He declares he will not let Jamie Spears extort Britney. You go, dude. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore with a quickie. This came in breaking thanks to Christopher Melcher, my man, who sent this over to us. He's busy in court. I'm trying to get him in. He may be joining us via audio. If he can't, he's already given me sort of a overall comment on this. But I wanted to break down the document because I just got it in hand. And this is a supplement. He had to supplement his papers because original requests contained no evidence, just accusations and citations, news articles. This one seems like another argument without evidence. Maybe he's just amping up the pressure in hopes Jamie is dumb enough to say anything again in defense. Rosengart will need to produce witnesses and documents on 9/29. That's what came in, to quote Christopher Melcher, our attorney here, who calls in all the time. Go support him over on YouTube. That's his sort of take on what this is. Because I asked, well, why file this now? Why not wait? Well, look, the document is definitely something that I think Britney fans, we are all going to appreciate his rhetoric, his energy. It's all there to declare that Jamie needs to step down and calls out all of Jamie's responses in his first response, as they call it. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of repeating sort of things we already know. It's in his best interest of Miss Spears that he stepped down immediately. As the petition also demonstrates, does not require Jamie, Mr. Spears, to admit fault or wrongdoing. Rather, although Mr. Spears has for more than a decade evidently engaged in abusive and bullying conduct while also elevating his own personal financial interests above those of his daughter. Those issues of misconduct are not, at this time on this petition, before the court. The only question before the court, which has unfortunately been lost for years, is whether Mr. Spears' prompt suspension and removal are in the best interests of Britney Spears. Based upon the forceful and compelling testimony of herself and the sworn declaration from Jody Montgomery, which includes her testimony that I have numerous ongoing conversations with the medical team, and we all agree that this would be the best for Ms. Spears, as well as well-being and mental health, that her father stop acting as conservator. That is, as my strong opinion and recommendation, that the person serving as Mrs. Spears' conservators not be family members, and that Mr. Spears' removal is critical to her emotional health and well-being and in the best interest of the conservatee. It's a lot of that over and over again is really what this document breaks down. But what I really do like is this this conclusion, which we respectfully submit is now clearly inexorable, is further supported by fundamental principles of law that we completely ignored by Mr. Spears and his attorney, that were completely ignored by Jamie and his attorney in their first response in mandating Mr. Spears' suspension removal. So where things get interesting, though, is as Christopher's right. He still offers no evidence, and I don't know if he's saving that for closer to the hearing, so they can't prepare it. But Christopher's right. He needs to produce witnesses, better documents. All of this just seems like a lot of what we want to hear and demanding it happen. But judging by what we've already seen so far by Judge Penny, there's nothing here that proves why, except for the obvious that we all know, seeing everything we've been paying attention to. He has yet to provide evidence, aside from Britney's own testimony, that confirms what she said. And in the court of law, whether we like it or not, that's what they have to produce. And so what really got interesting to me is when he starts really just sort of attacking back on using Jamie's words against him. He expressly recognizes that a public battle regarding his departure would not be in her best interest, and for that reason, he even intends to support an orderly transition. His idea of orderly is to hang on until someone first brands him Father of the Year and awards him a gold star for his service. In other words, although Jamie has at last been forced to recognize that it is in his best interest for his daughter if he departs now, he claims the right to drag his feet because it is best for him, to cling on to this conservatorship until he feels sufficiently vindicated. And I think this is important because this is facts. Like, he should have just stepped down already. Anybody who's sort of following this case and understand, or not following exactly, and you're catching on now, this is the problem. This is not in her best interest. Everyone is saying step down. He refuses to step down. He wants to make more money before he steps down. I'm sorry, that's a huge red flag. And And so they go in and talk about how, his prior Mr. Jamie and his counsel's first response is also based on a complete misunderstanding of the law because his prior service as conservator is legally irrelevant under section of the best interest test. Once again, he's elevating his interest over his daughter's. It's also demonstrating why Mr. Spears must resign or be suspended no later than September 29th, which is when we'll have the hearing date. And we will be there live at the hearing date. I want to remind everybody, Christopher is going to be joining us live from the court steps. He's going to have live gear. I'll be patching him in, taking calls, bringing in experts. We'll be covering that from all sides to make sure you get the best coverage that day on September 29th. So make sure you come back. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe to Popcorn Planet, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that like button, and help support this channel by helping to like, comment, engage, and watch the videos on here so we can make sure everything gets shared. I appreciate all your help and everybody who's found us here. But yeah, so on that 29th day, he's really setting the tone to say, look, we've made it very clear he needs to go. We need to know by this date. On that date, we expect to know the answer. Enough is enough. You won't do this sooner. You keep delaying to this day. He better be gone on this day if we've made us wait this long. He's really setting that tone very heavily. And so this is the other thing that's really interesting here. Further and critically, while Jamie professes his purported love and support of his own daughter, even as he stripped her of her own autonomy and dignity and engaged in abusive conduct towards her, his first response reveals his true motivations: to receive or make large monetary payments under the pending 12th account as a quid pro quo payment from Britney to Britney, working for his lawyers, for the public, all these outlandish expenses. His own lawyers, the Media Matters, file over half a $500,000 for Media Matters things, as well as the $500,000 to TriStar. Lou Taylor, hello. This is all of the things why we suspect these people, because there's some shady numbers here that we're going to find out in due time because there's no other explanation yet. Further, although Mr. Spears, Jamie's counsel, purported to chastise Britney's current counsel for supposedly failing to recognize that they and Britney's prior counsel were in negotiations, they neglect to mention that those negotiations were unacceptable and unsuccessful. Regardless of the past, Mr. Spears and his counsel are now on notice. The status quo is no longer tolerable, and Britney Spears will not be extorted. Woo! Whether they're really dropping all the evidence now, they're very setting the tone of what you are doing, Jamie. Now they got to prove this, and I'm hoping they're holding on to this to get it around. They're trying to scare him because he knows that's what's happening right now. Right now, Jamie is trying to extort them by saying, "Yeah, I'll step down, but you better pay all my expenses first, so I can make sure I'm covered." Because he knows there's going to be more battles oncoming, and he wants to save and collect as much money right now. Britney's money. Let's make sure we don't forget as much of Britney's money as possible, which, again, as Rosengart keeps saying over and over again, goes against the point of a conservatorship. Jamie should not be profiting and making profit continually and worrying about his own name, brand, etc., while taking care of his daughter. That's where everything has gotten messy. So all of you out there who think, oh, this is we got to hear all... No. This guy's a scumbag. This guy is a scumbag. Jamie's blatant attempt to barter suspension and removal in exchange for approximately $2 million in payments on top of the millions he's already reaped from Miss Spears' estate and associates is a non-starter. They are not budging. I love this. Rosengart's like, no, dude, you're not making a dime. We are not even going to begin any negotiations with you. It is over. Now, Rosengart, like Christopher said, he's got to come in with witnesses, documents, proof that this has not been right. We got to find ways to back up what Britney said. I'm assuming they will find more witnesses to come in and support Britney. Maybe we will hear from Sam Lutfi and others who have had stories. People had to sneak her phones, etc. There have been witnesses that have seen her do this. But the pill crush, there's so much stuff that could still be unearthed that I hope they are working on and that will eventually come to fruition. And may even come to fruition on the September 29th date, where Rosengart drops the hammer and says, bam, 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 he needs to be removed. Now, we also got to figure out who's going to replace him, since the other guy has already stepped down. Finally, contrary to the powers, his counsel seek to arrogate into themselves that they do not get to choose the time and place of Jamie's departure. Those issues are governed by law and the best interest of Britney and by this court. So while the first parties claim that there's no urgent circumstances, the world heard Britney's courageous and compelling testimony. Her life matters. Her well-being matters. Every day matters. There is no basis to wait. Again, yes, I don't understand what we're still waiting on. In short, Mr. Spears' so-called first response is characterized as a concession that he must resign, coupled with the independently removable offense of failing to resign until the time and conditions are right for him, no matter the toll it exacts on his daughter. Having finally acknowledged that this time as conservator should end, Jamie is obliged to step down without condition and without seeking to extract anything further from his daughter. This is so important. He won't step down until he's paid more. How effed up is that? No matter how much it's causing her pain, etc., he's like, nope, when the terms are met by my conditions, I will step down. Not about what's right for her, what's right for him. And that goes against completely what this whole thing was supposed to be. Mr. Spears should resign now, and if he does not, the court must suspend him on September 29th. And what's interesting is that they go in and they explain more. Obviously, he wants this quid pro quo of preconditions in order to exit, which have nothing to do with Miss Spears' needs or best interests. In other words, Jamie concedes that stepping down is the right thing to do, again, trying to put his interests and those ahead of the interests of his own daughter. Second, shameful attempt to redeem his reputation at his daughter's expense. However, it's not about Britney. It's not about Jamie or his needs or his image. This would be true to any case. But this particular case, pending just solely blah, 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 the probate code's discretionary catch-all provision, warning, suspension, removal, where the relief is in the best interest of the conservatee. Again, what's in the best interest of Britney? And then riddled with accusations are false, stale, have no bearing on current circumstances, serve no purpose other than hoping to rehabilitate his image while harming Britney. And then I love the other thing of he's so blinded by his own legally irrelevant desire for redemption that notwithstanding the stringent restrictions has gone so far as in his filing as to discuss alleged details of Britney's mental state. Huge red flag. Not supposed to do that. He's supposed to protect her, not reveal details that she's unwell. As well as under the guise of countering Lynn Spears, his ex-wife's declaration, he levies allegations of Miss Spears' issues, making gratuitous comments on the amount spent on Mrs. Spears' medical care, questions whether Britney understands or remembers what has been done, makes inept claims that while attacking the conservator, the person Jody Montgomery, and then my favorite part here, where it comes out here, where they admit that he takes a whole multiple pages to use it as an excuse to fight his ex-wife. It's true and it's insane. Where was it? It's coming up here where we keep going and going. He's just hitting everybody as hard as possible. But where was the Lynn Spears part? Sorry, I was getting close and I missed it. I want to make sure I got it to you. Here it is. Finally, worth mentioning, he spends 7 pages of his response airing grievances with Lynn Spears in a needless but mean-spirited sideshow. Lynn Spears does indeed support Britney's suspension removal, Jamie's suspension removal, but the petition must be granted regardless of reviews. As it's made abundantly clear, Jamie's independent adverse impact on his daughter's life, well-being, and best interest that requires a petition be granted. That Jamie would use this solemn occasion to pick one more fight with his ex-wife, the mother of his daughter, speaks volumes. So there you go. They are not going to accept this quid pro quo. They are not going to let Jamie extort Britney. Thank God. This is going to be an intense hearing on September 29th. You're not going to want to miss it. And I will be sure that Christopher and I are there to break everything down for you, as well as any other things that pop up along the way. We will, in fact, be live pretty soon, like in an hour. So come join us over at 9 p.m.-ish, 9:15 p.m. over here on Popcorn Planet. In fact, I'll put it right at the end. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that button on the top left, hit the bottom button on the right to join our live stream tonight. We'll be talking about this, taking some calls, along with a lot of other stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Popcorn Planet.